let's go to Rachel next in Redmond, California. Rachel, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. So I am 48 years old and trying to reenter the workforce. My husband, who was our sole provider, recently passed away, and so I'm kind of being forced into going back to work. And I'm not quite sure how to navigate this at my age.
Yeah. Oh, Rachel, I'm so sorry. How long ago did your husband pass away?
7 weeks ago.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So first of all, you need to acknowledge that making big decisions about work right now is going to be probably a little bit more confusing just because of the sheer loss that you're suffering from. I mean, this has just rocked your world. So what we're going to try to do on this call is identify some maybe big rocks, if you will, to kind of get a general idea. But know that I want you to give yourself some grace on any decisions you need to make in the next.
I have time.
Good. How much time? That was my next question. How much time do you have?
Probably 2 years to 2 to 3 years before I'm going to be really forced to make some big decisions. Okay,
now that is incredible news. So Rachel, I literally want you to take a deep breath right now. Take a deep breath. Okay, because listen, it's not going to take you 2 years. So this is huge. What this means, Rachel, is that you don't have to make a decision under any kind of pressure. And you need to, I'm going to prescribe to you, we're going to get into this in a second, but my goal is to give you some ideas to go run down and test and learn a little bit more as you're healing from this. Okay? And then you are going to heal. And when you get on the other side of this, it's going to be easier to make some decisions. So I'm really thrilled with our timeline here. Let's start with the big question. When you were younger, or at any point in your 48 years, have there been times where you have wondered about, I wonder what this work would be like? Or you had the question that we've all heard, and that I ask all the time, which is, if money wasn't an issue and I just wanted to work for the sheer joy of contribution, what is it that I would want to do? Has anything ever popped in your mind there? Tell me what you got.
Well, when I was working helping people in finding employment. So that's why it's so odd that I'm in this position now. And I would help them get into interviews and dressing and questions.
Interesting.
And I really
what was the position? Was it recruiting?
It was working for the county as a employment specialist and people who were on public assistance or employers who were coming into our county who needed
Love that.
to have.
How long ago was that?
It was a long time. It was about 16 years ago.
Okay. And so you've been staying home since then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I worked part-time in sales, but I don't like sales.
No, I get it. Okay, so here's the deal. One thing I want to make sure you hear right now. Just because you've only done part-time work over the last 16 years, that doesn't make you useless and irrelevant. Do you understand that?
No, not yet. I'll get there.
I know, but that's why I'm telling you, hear me on this. Because here's what you bring to the table. You bring talent to the table. You also bring passion to the table because there's work out there that you really love. We've already identified something you liked a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you also have experience. So you are not irrelevant. Don't you worry a bit about the work gap. Okay. I'll address that a little bit later. All right. So let's go into this. So if we were just having fun, Rachel, and we were going, there's no pressure. We've got 2 years to decide. What would you try first? Would you go back to that kind of work you did before? Or is there something else where you go, I think I'd try this if I knew I couldn't fail and I didn't have to commit to it for the next 10, 12, 15 years? What would you try?
I would try, since I volunteered at nonprofits, I kind of enjoyed working with nonprofits that help children.
I love that. That's your heart, right?
Yeah.
Tell me the why behind that. Why would you work for a nonprofit that helps children? And in what ways would they help children where you go, my goodness, I get to be a part of this organization that does this for kids? What is it?
Just the thankfulness that comes from the families in which you're helping, it just is rewarding.
Yeah, I love that. You know, there's a theme here. Have you seen the theme between what you did before that you liked, where you were basically offering career guidance, job guidance to people, and then this other vision you've got? Do you see the thread? What's the thread?
Helping people.
That's it. But it's not just helping people. There's a specific way you like to help people. If I was going to make you give me a one-word descriptor of the role you were playing. So let's say this was a TV show about your life. And when you were doing, what's the role? What's the role you're playing in both of those jobs you've told us about? Give me a one-word descriptor. There's no wrong answer.
Helper. I don't know.
Yeah, it's perfect. Guide. I think it's a guide.
Guide.
Do you agree with that word?
Yeah.
Because what does a guide do? Describe to me what you think a guide does.
Shows people a path to get out of a bad situation. Or better get them into a better situation.
Yeah. Right. If I hired a guide to lead me up a mountain, the guide is not just going to show me the best path. The guide is also going to show me some techniques, right? The guide's going to tell me about some resources I need to be able to get up the mountain. So you play that role. That's the role you have played, and I think it's the role you're describing right now.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
I do. I see it, but I just don't know. Every time I look for jobs now, everyone wants this higher education, and I stopped going to school when I was younger because I was raising my family.
Well, wait a second. They didn't need higher education when you did it for the county before. The county's still there.
It's still there, but they've changed requirements in so many different positions.
All right. So here's the deal. Don't let that be a deterrent, because I'm telling you, not every job that would allow you to play the role of helping guide is going to require a degree. How much money will you think you need to make? What will be the number that you've got in your head that you go, if I'm making this, I'm taking care of the basic needs and I'm not touching retirement and I'm good? What's that number?
Like 60 to 70,000 a year.
Okay, so you've got 2 years, all right, to figure this out. We got plenty of time. You're not behind the 8 ball. But I want you to start doing your homework on jobs first. Let's just look at jobs and industries in your area where you can play that role of advisor and guide, maybe even a little bit of a coach, right? Because that's what you've been doing. And so I can tell you right now, the nonprofits, I don't know that nonprofits are going to pay that kind of money, but you need to look into it. But what you need to do is not limit yourself to a nonprofit, but say, where are all the positions in my area where I'm playing that role of advisor / guide and just helping people get out of a problem area and move on? Because I think that's what really drives you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're pretty clear. I think you're just doubtful that you can get there. And I think that well, listen to me. You don't have to have a degree in all these positions. What you have to have is a connection.
Okay.
You've got connections, Rachel. How long have you been living in your area?
21 years.
How many people do you think you know on an acquaintance level or I've got a true friendship level? How many people? Give me a round number.
1,000 probably.
Yeah, 1,000 people. Now this gets fun, Rachel. How many people do you think those 1,000 people know? All of them. How many do each of those 1,000 people know?
Equal, if not more.
Yeah. Have you done the math on that real quick? There we go. We got a chuckle. Here's the point. I'm going to give you a copy, whatever format you want, either the written or the ebook. So hard copy, ebook, or audiobook of my #1 best-selling book, The Proximity Principle, which unpacks the proximity principle itself, which says in order to do what Rachel wants to do, she's got to be around people that are doing that work. She's got to be in places where she meets those people who are doing that work, right?
Right.
And that's where you get opportunities that they don't care about your resume. They go, oh, Rachel's awesome. And your web of connections, which is a chapter in that book, that 1,000 people times 1,000 times 1,000, you start running that out. And you have 2 years, plenty of time, to make viable connections to where people go, hey, we get it. You've been home for 16 years doing a little bit of part-time work. We're going to introduce you to the people who make the decision. We're going to vouch for you. It's all about connections.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now listen.
Okay.
You got this, okay? So hang on the line. Madison's going to give you the book. I want you to read it, and I want you to do it, okay?
All right. Thank you.
And then here's the deal. Once you get started in this process and you tell people the type of work you're looking for and you tell everybody and you keep telling everybody and you make more connections, opportunities are going to knock on your door. I promise. Now, right now, your whole world's been rocked.
Yeah.
Okay? So even though you're understanding what I'm saying, I'm hearing you go, okay, Ken, and you're not believing it. And listen, that's okay. Because the reason it's hard for you to believe right now is because your whole world went from certainty to unbelievable, heartbreaking uncertainty. And you're surrounded by that fog right now. That fog is going to lift. And when the fog lifts, and take your time to heal. That's the most important thing. You're not in a panic. You don't need to jump right now. Just grieve. Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Grieve.
Okay.
Fully grieve. And then coming out of the grief, and you will, the fog lifts. And you got the book, and you got plenty of connections. And I'm telling you, the sun is going to come back up. You hear me? But I grieve for you, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
All right, Rachel.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right.
You got it. It's important that those of you that are in Rachel's shoes, or that you've got a friend or a loved one who's gone through just a loss like that, the loss of a loved one, it's just jarring. It's not a segmented hurt. It hurts everything. It covers everything. It is incredibly difficult to think clearly and act clearly when you're hurting. So while we talk through things she needs to do, I'm telling you, if you are in her shoes, like her, Rachel and you have got to get healthy. And there's a time to hurt. There's a time to recover after a surgery. It don't feel good. And what do you have to do? We don't go back to work. Why? We get healing, we get some therapy, and then we get back to full speed. And that's where she's at. So it's really important you get healthy first, and then all this other stuff is a lot easier to do when you're healthy.